You know what this is. You knew it when you clicked the title, right? Google's sophomore Tensor-powered Pixel 7 Pro is in the house in Hazel. It's a really awesome color. Let's not waste any more time. My name is Aaron, by the way. Welcome to day one, week one of my 7 Pro ownership, beginning with the unboxing. So let's do this. As far back as the Pixel 5 or even the 4a, if I remember correctly, Google started using a more sustainable, uniform packaging. More of it is reusable or recyclable, more soy ink, friendlier for the environment and all that kind of such. But I wish the 7 Pro, in terms of, you know, as an experience when you get it, it looks more exciting. Like, I'm not expecting much, but look, even the 6a, on the side of the box, the color of the packaging or the box matched the color of the phone that you got. And look at the Pixel 2 XL. Look at this. It was like good old Google. They had a little bit more fun. And I'm not saying I want a box this big or anything, but there's just something different or more fun about having a box that's tactile, something that jumps out, especially when they say the 7 Pro is more fashionable and all that. But those are little things. I'm gonna just want to talk about packaging. So with the 7 Pro, this is the 128 gig model. Yeah, because I'm cheap. But we'll see how fast the space takes up space. Like, especially if you're using 10-bit recording on the video. I want to see how that goes. So let's unbox this thing. It's still fresh. I just got it yesterday. Really excited. Oh my goodness, this is nice. I love the color. This is the only color I think of all three that I like. Black, white, and this one. I do miss coral and lemongrass. Oh man, this is pretty nice. At least brand new, but once we get fingerprints on this, oh my goodness, this is gonna be... I'm gonna do the powering on and the pairing up and updating my apps and all that kind of such, signing into my accounts later on, and then we'll skip to that in a second. But real quickly, look at this thing. It's so nice. I love the feel, and definitely the curve of the screen. Oh, it's much nicer now. I feel like I can hold this with confidence and not have it slide off. And if I remember correctly, the friction compared to the regular 6, this is less slippery. It reminds me of the 6a actually. The glass is less slippery. So this thing, it runs $900, guys, and it incrementally goes up if you get like the 256, $100 more, 512 gigabytes. That's another $100 more. So it just add on to that. This, let me power this on. This has a 6.7-inch QHD LiTPO OLED. So basically LiTPO means it can dynamically change the refresh rate without having to need some kind of other hardware between the GPU and the display. And we'll test that out in a second. 1500 nits max brightness. Oh yeah, so this should be great in sunlight. I hope you can see this. This is the first time I've done this setup, and I'm recording on a regular 6. So I hope the quality is decent, and I hope also it doesn't overheat. For those of you in the know. The refresh rate, yes, it's 120 hertz, just like before, but it's variable all the way down to a crawly 10 hertz. That's pretty awesome. And we'll see also how that figures into the battery life. Thickness, as you can see here too, I'll try to show it in the camera. Thickness is identical to the 6 Pro, but is 1 millimeter shorter at 163 millimeters. Oh man, the haptics on this thing, this thing is bouncing, the haptics are really good on this. Oh my goodness. It feels natural. I can feel it. Oh my goodness, I need to test that out more too. In terms of, so the height is shorter, 163 millimeters, and it's also slightly wider now at 76.6 millimeters versus 75.9 millimeters. It's negligible, but it's 0.6 millimeters, makes a slight difference for some hands. The weight is also 2 grams more than before as well. The charging specs is the same as last year, so is the battery capacity. Well, more like a very small 3 milliamp hour drop. No big deal there. The Tensor G2 in here, 2nd gen with the Titan M2 security chip, supported with 12 gigs of DDR5 RAM. It's a triple camera setup. This is one of the big changes, at least. Is that a scratch? I hope that's not a scratch. I heard so many bad things about this from other reviewers where they said like even after a few hours of handling, this scratched up. So yeah, we'll talk about this in a second. But there's a triple camera setup at the back, 50 megapixels on the main, 12 megapixel ultra wide. Is the 12 megapixel ultra wide now is almost 10 degrees wider than the 6 Pro at 126 degrees. And then we have the 48 megapixel telephoto sensor with 5 times optical zoom and up to 30 times super res zoom. So what I'm going to do right now is sign into my account, get all the apps in here from my previous phone, get everything set up, and then I'll meet you back here in a few minutes, or as in like post editing magic. It'll be a few seconds, but go ahead, grab your favorite snack or drink, and then I'll meet you right back here. Let's talk about the design and the look and feel on this thing as a whole while this thing continues to update. I didn't clean this on purpose because now you can see just for the past few minutes how much grease and fingerprints this have collected. So if you're using this naked, you're gonna have to clean this up pretty often. And also, I recommend that you slap on a case because the brushed aluminum is just gonna nick like crazy. It's not very thick. I can already feel in my hand it's not the thickest. I wish this had the option for you to order it with a matte aluminum version like the regular 7. But I can see the reason why they went with aluminum, maybe, but compared to the plastic visor on the 6 and the 6 Pro, there was a lot of light refraction entering the plastics and causing lens flaring and also exposure issues with the sensor. So my guess, this might help, and based on what I've seen so far with the XO Mark and some of their photo testing, the lens flaring has really been reduced, so that's a good thing. But not a fan of the material choice. This could have been a little bit better. It looks nice straight out of the box, but other than that, yeah, I could have done without it. Still glass on the back and Victus on the front. Everything, look at the top right here, the M wave, or as I like to, the millimeter wave, or as I like to call it, wave. The band has been colored to match the color of the phone as well. That's really nice. In the past, it was this really hideous plastic that stood out like a sore thumb, but now they've color matched it. This is pretty cool. The curve of the glass, much reduced as well, I think by 20% if I remember correctly, and it's much nicer to hold. In the past, it felt like it was gonna, dig into your palm after, just a short period of time. But this one, I know I can hold this for a long time, much better, and it doesn't have like false palm, there's no palm rejection, so there's not gonna be issues with that, I don't think. So let's doing this, skip tutorial, yada, 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 swipe up to go home. Okay, there we go. Hey, look, it carried over my wallpaper from my Flip, so that's nice. Batman. I have to readjust the camera cutout right there. It's a little bit off center, but this is the home screen looking nice. It's just as fast as before. The animations, very nice stuff. Of course, the first article is the Pixel 7 Pro. Alrighty then. I've also noticed that this is not mentioned much, but the side buttons on the Pro, at least compared to the 6 Pro, has been lowered a little bit. I think by maybe 3 or 4 millimeters. It makes a huge difference, guys. I can reach it much easier now, as opposed to a slight more of a reach in the past. Now it's a little bit lower. I think a little bit lower would have been nice, but this is perfect for my fingers. But if I held it a little bit lower like I normally do when I text, I would have liked the power button to be a smidge lower. That would be nice. Oh yeah, the SIM card tray is right here on the side. I'm not sure if you can see it in the camera. And what else? So the power buttons. I wish these are matte aluminum, the buttons. As you can see, it's not shiny. So there's some differentiation right there, but I missed the bright orange, bright colored buttons in the power buttons in the past. That was fun. The SIM card tray supports eSIM and regular SIM. There's no SD card slot. I'm still glad there's physical SIM, because for those people who travel a lot or use multiple networks who need to quickly switch between the two, a physical SIM is best for traveling and all that. I still prefer that. eSIM is a pain in the butt. Some phones are going all eSIMs now, double eSIMs. Ridiculousness. I don't know why. Yeah, another thing is under screen fingerprint sensors, the worst. The Flip 3 has some of the fastest. Look at that, how fast. Let me do that again. Check this out. Oh, did it lock? Okay, let's try this again. Look how fast that is. This one is gonna take a while. Let me power this off or just turn this off. I already set up. Yeah, it's okay. Let me do a demo again. How's that? The animation is kind of slow. They've changed it a little bit to make it look like you're doing it faster. But in my feeling, I think by feel, it's roughly the same about the 6. One thing that I do all the time whenever I get a new Android phone is bump up the animation speed. And this basically just seems to speed up things. It doesn't mean that the phone is faster, it's not a turbo mode, but the animation itself is shortened. So getting to pages or just waiting for things to happen seems to be snappier. And to me, that just makes the whole experience a little bit quicker, you know, and I like that. The way to access that, if it's not unlocked, if it's not open up, you know, it's under developer settings. Let me try to find it again. It's about phone, and at the bottom under build number, you tap that 5 times to turn it on, and then it'll be available under systems, way at the bottom here under developer options. Now, if you transferred or just transferred your files or upgraded from an older phone that has Android 11 and 12, if you already have developer mode on, it's grandfathered in. You don't have to do anything, but if you haven't, you just do the steps that I just mentioned. So under developer options, you just scroll all the way down to animations. Window animation, transition animation, animator duration. They are defaulted at 1, you change them to 5, and then the animation is much quicker. Even, check this out, fingerprint sensor. Oh yes, it's nice, it's quicker. The fade from black happens much quicker, and the default, it's really slow. I don't like it. Let's turn that off again. Oh yes, a little bit quicker. There's a little bit of a stagger right now, only because there's tons of updates being happening right now. And so there's like that little stutter and delay. It is quicker in terms of reading my fingerprint. It seems like I'm not getting any kind of like rejection or anything like that. It's nice, better than the 6. Ooh, it's getting warm a bit. Tons of updates going on. It's not hot, but that's the other thing that I wanted to do a longer term test, how it heats up compared to the 6. And definitely about the same as the 6A. This is my wife's unit. Well, she has it right now. And by the way, I bought this for $300. Get it, $300 brand new on Swappa just a few weeks ago. 300 bucks. Man, I love that site. I don't work for them, but I just love mentioning them. So check them out, swappa.com. It is quicker, thank goodness. Look at that. But I wish it was a little bit faster. Let me check out Face Unlock. Ooh, this is fast, especially with good lighting in the studio here. This is pretty darn impressive. One more time. It's like pretty quick. I don't know if there's an option though, unlike the Samsung, that you can choose between after you face unlock, whether it stays on this screen or takes you to the home screen. I like the option to take me to directly to home screen, because some of us, like myself, I like unlocking it without having the finger swipe one more time. A quick word again about thermals. Earlier I mentioned that the back of the phone was getting warm, right? Well, the thing is, it has stayed the same, which is actually interesting considering that there's a lot of things going on in the background here. You see the setup is still going on, and that I'm recording the screen and audio at the same time, so I'm kind of pushing it. But in my memory, it is behaving better in terms of cooling than the Pixel 6. That's a good sign. I really like this. And the fact that when I remember doing the same thing with the Pixel 6, most of the heat was centered around here, and now it seems more uniformly spread across the back. So on a nice winter day that's coming up soon, this would be really nice. A nice hand warmer. It's not hot, but that's good. Speaking of hot though, let's push this a little bit more and see if we can bring up the warning on the camera. Let's run the camera. And also, if it gets hotter, I'll let you know as well. So I've updated the Google Camera app to 8.7 that came out yesterday. It has some quality of life improvements. Some icons have been moved around. So in motion, for example, the icon at the shutter button is different. And you can see the settings on the top left here. Now they're contextual. In portrait mode, it changes. The portrait camera is camera. And under video, you see the resolution. And by the way, under resolution, you can see 10-bit HDR is available now. I saw some samples. Some people say I didn't see much difference, but I saw some differences in banding and noise. And I think for those of you who do a lot of post-processing using this for vlogging or whatever, that's a really good feature. But make note of this. It's not available in 60 frames per second. It also is speech enhancement. It's all available in 30, and so something to take note of. Another improvement to this one, you may or may not like it. I don't like it personally. Is double tap to zoom. You can see that. See that? So not a fan of it. The speed is kind of okay. It's not as fast as before, but you can change the gesture and what it does in the options as well. Let's take some pictures actually. Let's do portrait mode. One thing that Google still doesn't do is live preview. Like right now, I don't see the bokeh in the background, but it will do that in post-processing. I love the skin tones on these guys. Oh my goodness, the skin tone is awesome. It's real. There you go, another shot. You can see in the samples, wide angle. Oh yes, very nice. I love the wide angle on this. Now it's much better. Let's switch I want to check out the zoom. I'm really excited. Let's switch to the main camera. Okay, so I'm gonna double tap zoom in. Oh, this is portrait mode. Let's go to the main camera. Now we're in three times zoom, guys, and let's do 5 times zoom. You can see the little shift there. I'm not sure if it's the lens or the AI kicking in to process the image. Let's zoom in a little bit more. That's 10 times. I want to see if you can pick up on the text on the spine of that comic book right there. Now we're at 30 times. Oh yes, it gives it a second to focus, and then boom. Oh my goodness, that's sharp. This is 30 times zoom, guys, and it's staying pretty steady. It's confused only because of the light, the reflection. It's not even sure what's going on there. Let's see, there you go. Oh my goodness, this is awesome, guys. That's pretty cool. So let me go back to the camera again, see if anything. Oh, cinematic mode. Oh boy, not a fan of this one. I'm not looking for it. Let me test this, point this at myself. And you might be able to see, I'm gonna try to pull up some artifacts. So as this moves around, you might be able to see like there's a lot of weird artifacts around my head. This reminds me of, at least even in the presentation, I saw it in Google's presentation. It reminds me of the early days of portrait mode when they did the automatic bokeh and such, where the cropping and the algorithm just sucked. And I think if the sample, or if what I remember correctly from what I've seen so far and what people have been complaining, Google has some work to do with the algorithm. They need to learn a thing or two from Apple, because Apple has been the one pushing the boundary on this one, and they're way ahead of the game on this one. But you know, all you need is a software update, and we'll see what happens there. So night mode, it's supposed to be quicker now. Let me cover the lens and then take a picture. Exposure. Ooh, the processing is fast. Oh my goodness. So just now I covered the screen, took the shot, 3-second exposure, and you can change the exposure, by the way, guys. You can extend the exposure to max exposure. I think it's like 6 seconds, 20 seconds or something like that with this new version of the camera app. But the processing is really fast. A little bit faster than Pixel 6 for sure. That always was fast to me already. But now this is a whole lot better. What else? The whole experience, the Android 12 experience is about the same. Nothing to really shout, nothing that you really don't know. But for those of you who this is your first time, it is the best version of Android I've had so far, and it's all about the smarts. And I'm gonna do this in my full review, of course, because the phone, it's not about hardware necessarily. Yes, it has nice stuff. It doesn't have the fastest speed, of course, but compared to all the flagships. But for a flagship, their focus here in Google is the telephony side, the AI side, the software side. Just experiencing it through the past few Tensor powered devices, like the speed, the typing, the AI, the assistant typing when you type text messages on the keyboard is so much faster to the equivalent on the same thing. I have the same keyboard. It's so much quicker. It's just so much smarter in figuring things out. It always knows what you want next. It seems like it's almost uncanny and scary at the same time. But the fact that this phone thinks for you as a phone rather than just a smartphone, and that has the fastest speed to run your apps or your games. And notice that the presentation in Google's presentation didn't mention once about gaming. So this is not its focus. If you're buying one of these and say, oh, it's slow and it heats up, get a gaming phone. That's what it's for. So this, in a gist, is the Pixel 7 Pro. I really like it. I can't wait to test it out more for you guys. There's more full reviews coming in comparisons as well, and also updates in the 1 month, 6 month, 1 year cycle, so on and so forth. And I'm definitely gonna update more on Instagram, on Twitter. You can follow me there, and I'm gonna talk about the phone a little bit more there. I'm kind of scared really to take this out without a case. I have one on order. It's coming in November. It's an Aramid Kevlar case, really thin, 0.6 millimeters. So it's gonna keep the profile, protect the side. But until then, I'm scared. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to come back for the full review. I know I hacked my way through this whole unboxing. There's a lot of cuts, weird kind of transitions and such like that. But this is the whole fun of unboxing, right? It's live, it's raw, you get to see my first impressions. I really like this phone, I'll tell you what. Get to see my first impressions and, you know, fumble my way through. We're walking this walk together. But I guarantee my full reviews and other videos, if you watch them, they're a little bit more professional, but not by much, because I suck at my job. But again, thank you so much for watching, guys. Be sure to come back, subscribe to this channel, thumbs up if you like this video, comment nicely down below, follow me on Patreon, super thanks button. You guys are awesome. And also remember to do something loving and kind for somebody in this world, because guess what? The world needs it more than ever, and it starts with you. I love you all very much. Peace out.